So hopefully they will come back or whatever happened. Okay, so this you'll love this. Um, I well, maybe I should wait and tell everyone. Anyone wear shirt today? Did they want to share too? It is T-shirt Tuesday, just in case you forgot. If you thought I forgot, never. Or if you were hoping I forgot, maybe that was the case. All right, I don't know where everybody else is. I'm glad you're here. Oh, we're getting more. We're getting more. All right, so while we're waiting for more, we can share our T-shirts. Tyler, yours is always fun to share because you always have a Dutch one on, so that's fun. So I like Tyler's. Do you see his shirt? Nice. Dutch love. Nice. Anyone else have one they want to share? Vanessa. Jurassic Park. Okay, what's super funny is we have YouTube TV now. I don't know. My husband's in charge of that. I just know that he said we have YouTube TV now. And so YouTube TV has a guide. Maybe it's our TV that has the guide. I don't know. But anyway, we have a guide now. And I'm one who is a channel flipper. Like I'll watch 10 minutes of anything. Yeah. And that drives my husband crazy. I don't do it because it drives him crazy. That's just a bonus. But so I was looking through the guide, and my choices, I only had like 10 minutes, was Jurassic Park, Shrek, or something else. And I'm like, Jurassic Park wins, 10 minutes of Jurassic Park. And of course, it was right after the power goes out and the kids are in the Jeep and the other guy like leaves. Anyone who's seen that movie, like, can you believe that guy just left the kids in the car? That was the worst. Yeah. So anyway, glad you're wearing the Jurassic Park shirt. Anyway, it's a great movie. I could watch that again. The first one. I don't need to watch any other ones than that. Yes, it should be on your syllabus, Karina, that you need a protractor. You won't need it till after midterm, so you have a couple weeks to get it. But it should be in there.
I had like looked through the whole syllabus, and all I saw was that for the materials was that we needed to have the software for the more, but I didn't see any mention of the protractor. It might have been like hidden in there and I might have missed it, but I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
I mean, the syllabus is rather long, right? So that's a little annoying, but I will look right now because I thought I put it in there. And yeah, but you won't need it for a couple weeks. But if you're out and about, buy a protractor.
I think it was in there. When I checked, I saw it in there. So just
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to check right now, but I hope it's there, but it is probably hidden, like it's not super obvious. I should have it in like a bulleted list. So, but I don't. So I'm just going to search it right now. Protractor, it's under recommended materials on page 3. So, but it would be easy to overlook. Okay, I love the bagel fest we have going on here. Wait, Tyler, are you eating a bagel? because Vanessa's eating a bagel. Yeah, so just in case you're wondering, if you're not looking, you're both eating bagels. So very fun. I'm not eating a bagel, but I wish I was eating something, but I am eating these. Wait, can you see this? It's my pretend, it's like a fancy Lunchable because it's Hillshire Farms. So it's better than a Lunchable, right? Because it's like real salami and Gouda cheese and toasted rounds. Does that sound exciting? Not exciting, but it's more exciting than nothing. So I am excited about that. Okay. So I'll share my shirt. I think I've shared this before, but not for a long time, but it's Tuesday and it's been a hard week already. Yeah, thanks, Elena. Grown up Lunchable. Love it. Okay, it says mathlete. Yeah, because I'm not much of an athlete, but I'm more of a mathlete, just so you know. And it does say Mesa Community College down there. And then the back. You love it? Yeah. So you know you're a nerd when, right? You have a shirt that makes it look like you're on a team, but you're really not, right? And your number might be an approximation of pi, right? So there you go. But these were our department shirts. So think about that. If you decide to teach junior high math, you too could have that. Sarah, who is your friend?
It's my son. Say hi.
Hello,
Hi.
cutie pie. You can share your t-shirt. It's t-shirt day. What's your t-shirt say?
Oh, it says first name big, last name trouble.
Is that true? Are you big trouble?
Are you trouble? Yeah.
You're supposed to say no, but honesty, I guess that's the best policy, right? All right, good. Thanks for sharing, Sarah. I appreciate that. I don't mind visitors, just so you know. Okay, anyone else have a shirt that they want to share? Hannah just asked if module 1 is locked. It's only locked if you didn't do everything you needed to do, right? So let's look. I can see whose module is locked or unlocked. Maybe. Okay, Andrea's is unlocked. Karina's is locked. Do you know what you still have to do? You have to do your syllabus quiz. McKenna's, yours is locked. Alyssa, yours is locked. Michaela, yours is locked. If you need to know what you have to do, it should tell you on the screen, but I should just get to whose is unlocked. That might be easier. Jessica's is unlocked. Amanda's is unlocked. Tyler's is unlocked. Madison's is unlocked. Sarah's is unlocked. Brianna's is unlocked. Vanessa's is unlocked. Kelsey's is unlocked. Alina's is unlocked. And that's it. Everybody else's is locked. So if you want to know what you need to do, Hannah, all you had to do was do your FAQ discussion board. That's it. Put something on there. Anyone else need help with that? You okay? All right. So let me tell you about today. I prepared my slides. I was looking through my slides. They're boring. They're just boring. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So literally about 30 minutes ago, in the middle of my other class, by the way, I had a flash and I'm like, this is what I need to do today. So this is what we're doing today. And you might think, seriously, she just made up the activity like 30 minutes ago. No, I'm resurrecting an activity I used to do face-to-face that I couldn't figure out how to do in this virtual environment, but we're going to do it anyway. And I figured out potentially how to do it. It's a little annoying, but it's better than me talking and you guys taking notes, because otherwise I'd be like, perfect, go watch my slides. I'll see you later, right? Because it's just not a fun thing. So let me tell you, we're starting probability today. And in probability, what we are going to do is one of the first things we have to go over is a bunch of vocabulary, which is super boring, right? It's like super boring to go over vocabulary. And we've gone over vocabulary before in a more interesting way. How many of you have ever eaten goldfish crackers? Yes. Okay. So normally 257 is all about the food, let me tell you. So when we're face to face, that's what we did pretty much every day. Not every day, but at the start of every unit for sure. I brought food for us so we could do our activities. And we did discovery activities through food. And this was our very first one with probability. And we used goldfish crackers. And what I did was I brought in, have you seen those little milk cartons or the little bags of colored goldfish? Rainbow goldfish is what they're called. Yeah? Okay. So that's what we use. We use rainbow goldfish. And each person gets a sample, right? Their own little bag. And they pour out their goldfish on paper towels. Remember, I'm a germaphobe, so we're okay. And they count their goldfish, and they count their all of their goldfish. But then in rainbow goldfish, they're different colors, right? So we have, I don't know, yellow, an ugly red, really awful green, right? And maybe like a purple. Okay, so my modified activity that I did was, the directions are only yellow or goldfish are healthy. All the other fish are sick. Does that make sense? I know you're like, wait, that sounds awful. Why are we talking about that? Yeah, it's true. They're all sick. I'm trying to pull it up electronically so you guys can see it. Okay, so let me share my screen. And this activity is going to be, like I said, a discovery activity. So it'll have less directions than you want. Just so you know, you've done these before with me, where you have less directions than you want. So, but it's okay. You're going to work your way through. Can you see my screen now? Okay, so it's called Healthy Fish. And the materials you need are goldfish in various colors and this worksheet, or you can just write it on paper. It's fine, but this is what I do with my students. And our objectives are for students to understand how probabilities are determined, experimental or empirical probabilities versus theoretical probabilities, properties of probability, and then mutually exclusive and non-mutually exclusive events. So you're going to work in your room as a team to answer these questions, right? And you can just do them on paper. It's not something you're going to turn in. So the fish in the sample represent healthy and sick fish. Green fish are sick. All other fish are healthy. So green fish are sick. This is in my notebook, by the way, but I can, in your OneNote notebook, but I can put a link in the chat in just a minute too. You're going to complete part A, B, C, and D. And those are pretty much all the directions I'm going to give you. But each room that I make is going to have a different sample. So instead of each person, I couldn't make 20 samples in 15 minutes because that's all I had, right? So it's not fun like you have the actual fish and you get to eat them when you're done. Sorry about that. But it will be nice-ish that you can at least participate in the activity. And this, you'll see the point of this, and I don't want you to look up anything, right? I don't want you to look up definitions, or I just want you to use your prior knowledge because you all can do it. I promise you, you can. Okay, so let me show you a pretend sample so you can see it. And then I'm gonna let you work in your rooms for a while, maybe 15 minutes, to complete all these questions. And then when you're done with the questions, you're gonna come back here. So I just put this. So here's an example of a goldfish sample. It's not near as exciting as having the fun goldfish, and I didn't make them random. I lined them all up for you. Sorry about that. But so there's your fish. You can see which ones are green, obviously, right? Those are the sick fish. Yes? Okay, so questions on what I want you to do. I know you don't have the worksheet yet or your sample yet, but just questions on anything that you're supposed to do. Okay. I don't think anybody asked a question. It's not a Google Doc, sorry, because I literally had no plan to use this today because I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I figured it out, so we're good. So here is the Healthy Fish worksheet. And you really don't need to write on it or anything, right? You can just write on paper if you want. You can just have it up for reference because you can have it electronically later. And then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are going to be a little bit larger than usual, just because I only have like 4 samples, but we'll see how many people I have here. Okay. Okay. And call me in if you need help, if there's any questions you guys have. Okay, and I will be delivering to each room your sample. Okay? Okay, so any questions? Okay, if you finish early, just let me know so I know not to leave you in there forever. Okay, so I'm going to open your rooms and then I'll deliver your samples to you. Hello, Karina and Brianna. I think that's all I see right now. Do you have an answer for part E? You don't have to tell me what it is. I just want to make sure you have a number written there. Yay. Okay, good. That was kind of fun, wasn't it? More fun than me talking, let me tell you. How confident are you in your last answer? Oh, nice. You both did the same thing. You're like, maybe. All right. You made it. How was fishing? That good, huh? Okay, I promise you that was more interesting than my slides. I promise you it was. No doubt about it. So, did you notice on that worksheet, I asked you a lot of questions and I really haven't gone over anything yet, right? But I asked you a lot of questions. Some of this is fairly intuitive, even to kids that have never experienced things before, right? So they will be able to do discovery activities. It's really hard for teachers, some teachers, not me, to just let their students discover things on their own and not give them a lot of direction. I'm really good at it, but it's because I've been doing it a long time. When I first tried it, it's really hard to let go of that control instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to teach them something, then they're going to practice it, then they're going to do this, because that's not really learning, right? It's not until I set you guys free to do things and discover things and make mistakes when you actually learn something. Okay, so everybody has their worksheet completed, yes? And I'm just going to take, we're just going to take a little bit of info from any group. It doesn't matter because your numbers will vary a little bit. All your samples were a little bit different. So there were 4 different samples. So anyone want to kind of give me the rundown on their part A, how many fish they had and so on? Somebody who hates to participate should choose now because all you have to do is read me the numbers on your worksheet.
Go.
Okay, I'm ready, McKenna.
So for part A, we had 54 healthy fish, and then there was 14 sick fish, and that gave us a total of 68 fish total.
Nice. And you guys have similar numbers, right? On yours, some of you had 59 fish, somebody total fish. I can't remember. What other numbers did we have? Some people had 59.
46.
46.
53.
53. All right. And then, so now, so your numbers will be a little bit different. Okay. So part B, McKenna, let's keep going with you.
Part B, number 4, we said that there was 54 out of 68 fish that were healthy. And I was also wondering, can you write that as a ratio?
Sure, like this, 54
Like side by
to
side.
68.
Yeah, I
Like
just
that?
didn't know if that would like change anything or not.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay.
Anyone else write it differently? Did anyone else write something else? Did everybody leave it a fraction?
Can't you also write it as a percentage?
Yeah, we could write it as a percent, right? Anything else? Anybody want to write it differently? Did anyone write it as percent in this class? No,
Thought about it, but
go ahead.
we thought about it, but we decided that a ratio or a fraction would be more exact because as a percent, we would have had to do a little more estimating. Rounding.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. The fraction is probably the most accurate, right? No estimation necessary unless your fraction came out really nice, right? And was a terminating decimal, right? So we could write it as a percent. We could write it as a decimal too, right? So probabilities can be written as fractions, decimals, or percent, right? Okay. And you did, when you did your healthy ones, you took the number of healthy fish, which was 54, and then you put it over the total, right? That's what you did. And that's actually the formula for probability, right? It's the number of favorable outcomes over the total number of outcomes, or successes to total. Nice. Okay. And then for number 5, what'd you put?
We got 14 over 68.
Nice. And then
then
how about 6?
6, we got 68 over 68 because that's all the fish. So essentially it's just number 1.
All right. So you really did 54 over 68 plus 14 over 68, which gave you 68 over 68, which was 1 whole. How many of you, not just on McKenna's sample, but on everybody's fishing expedition, did your number 6 come out to 1? Only Tyler's?
Mine
Only
actually,
Tyler?
I wrote mine out as 1 over 1 because you have a 1 in 1 chance.
Okay. So 1 over 1, that's still really 1, right? Yeah, I like it. Did everybody's come out to 1 whole, or their number over the same number? Did anyone's not? That's what we need to verify. So everybody's number 6 turned out to be 1 whole. Yeah. And so with probability, probability is on a spectrum from 0 to 1. Yeah. And 1 would include all our possibilities. In this case, we either had sick fish or healthy fish. So if we added them together, we better get all the fish, right? So 100% or 1 whole for the probability. Now, those events couldn't happen at the same time, right? The fish couldn't be sick and healthy. It was either sick or it was healthy. Yeah. So sometimes things can happen at the same time, but this event cannot, right? The fish, once the fish is a little green, he's sick, right? We don't call him sick healthy, right? He's just sick. Okay, how about part C? McKenna, keep going.
We got 14 over 68. And then for number 8, I got 54 over 68. And then 7 and 8 are related to 4 and 5 because they're just opposites.
All right. So did this bother anyone, those words? You're like, why is she asking us this again? This seems silly. Does anyone know when we say that word not in probability, what we're referring to? You ever heard of that vocabulary word? Complements? Yeah. So complements are the event not happening. So if I know I have 2 events and they're what we're going to call mutually exclusive in just a few minutes, okay? If they're mutually exclusive, meaning they can't happen at the same time. If I know the probability of the event happening, to find the probability of the event not happening, I can just subtract it from 1. So I could have done 1 minus the healthy fish, and I would have gotten the sick fish, right? So right here, if I did 1 minus the probability of a healthy fish, I would do 1 minus 54 over 68, which would be really 68 over 68 minus 54 over 68, which would give me that 14 over 68. Now, probably you guys just looked back up here and you were like, duh, if it's not healthy, it's sick. So I'm just going to write it down. What you didn't realize is this is working behind the scenes, right? This is always there as long as they're mutually exclusive events. And we're going to talk about that word more because I know that's a weird word for some of you who haven't heard it or haven't heard it in a while. Now to the fun part. Part D. So McKenna, your team, did you estimate how many healthy fish in the pond? and how many sick fish? And tell me how you did it. Like, what was your strategy?
Yes, so we used the proportional reasoning and we got 54 over 68. And then next to that, we did X over 300. And I cross multiplied 54 times 300 and I got 16,200. And that's going to be over 68, or sorry, that's going to equal 68X. But yeah, you can just leave that because we're dividing by 68 anyways. And we got 238.24, but we rounded down and got 238 healthy fish.
Nice. And then how did you find your sick? Did you do the same thing?
Yeah, we did the same thing for number 10. It was 14 over 68 equals X over 300. And then I cross multiplied, I got 4,200 equals 68X. And then I divided by 68 on both sides and I got 61.764. But this one, my group and I were kind of struggling with estimating it. We weren't sure if we should round it to 62 like it would seem to do at first, just because you can't, like, I don't know, I'm just confused if you can round up or not here because we can't like add more fish than there are. So I don't know if it would just be 61 fish or if it is 62.
What do you guys think, the rest of you, whether you were on McKenna's team or not? Would you use 61 or 62 if it was your numbers?
Me and Betty kind of said the same thing because I had originally rounded up, but like McKenna said, you can't add more fish. So we kind of stuck to our original not added one. We didn't add one.
Yeah, and then also I also based it off the total.
Okay. So which total?
The 300, well, for us, the 300.
Okay. So this 300. So Betty, did you say 61 or 62?
Well, we didn't, for our numbers, like for number 9. I
Oh,
got
you weren't on
220.
McKenna's team. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
You weren't on McKenna's team. I got it. So anyone else, do you have a vote? Should McKenna use 61 or 62?
I'd say 60.
Our team, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you good.
So we rounded up because we needed our number to equal 300 as a total. So they would use 62 because 238 plus 62 is 300. Because they rounded down on number 9, they can round up.
Yeah. So I'm lazier than all of you, or maybe some of you are as lazy as me. I don't know. But as soon as I got that 238, I would have just done 300 minus 238 and gotten 62 and been done with it. Been like, that's probably right.
No, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying when I talked about the total. Our number was 300. That's what I kind of based it off on.
Yeah, perfect. Good job, Betty. And then somebody in my group would have done the math and checked it for me, right? That's the beauty of group work right there. So good. So what you should probably look at is, do your two numbers here sum to 300? And did you make them whole numbers, right? Because I don't know what 0.4 of a fish would be. So just double check that on your paper. Whether, so I'm going to change this to 62. I'm just going to circle the 62 because I feel more confident in that number. And now here's the important piece. Part E, which was the hardest part for a lot of you, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't want to write anything down. Like I just didn't want to commit because I had really no idea if I was right or not. I had an idea, but then I thought if I write it down, then I'm going to be wrong. And what, I'm not seeing the paper. So it's fine. You can be wrong. Okay. This is one of my favorite questions. So of course, we're making a lot of assumptions here. So if I wanted to catch and eat a fish out of the pond, which I would never do, just in case you're wondering, if I knew there were sick fish in the pond, I'm not eating one. I'm just saying, but let's just pretend. Okay. So how many fish must I catch to guarantee right? Without a doubt. So 100%, I am positive that I have at least one healthy fish. I might have more, but I have to have at least one. So some group besides McKenna just worked so hard for me, okay? Some group, tell me what your estimate was here or what number you wrote here in this bottom piece. And then tell me why. How'd you
I
get
guess
there?
I can share.
I'm ready,
So
Vanessa.
me and my team kind of like reread the question a couple times. And I came to the conclusion because it's asking how many fish must I catch to guarantee 100% that I would at least catch at least one healthy fish. I kind of just looked at the sick fish and I was like, well, we just need one healthy fish. So I did our total number of sick fish and I added one healthy fish. And that's what I got. I don't know if it works, but that's just kind of like how, after reading the question, what I understood.
What do you think of Vanessa's explanation? Does anyone agree, disagree, have questions, comments, concerns?
I had the same idea as Vanessa.
Madison shaking her head yes too, I see. And McKenna, do you agree?
Yeah, so my group did the same thing. We kind of talked about the wording of the question. So if the question was asking like, what's the minimum amount of catches, I think this answer would be perfect. But if it's just saying like guarantee, could the answer also be 300, like the total amount of fish?
Yeah, well, for sure, if you catch all 300, you're definitely going to get a healthy one, right? I agree with you. So, but could it just be one more than all the sick fish? Tyler, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking if you can catch that many fish in a day, I would love to sit down and learn how the hell you do it because I've tried for years and years.
Hilarious. Well, number one, I don't think it says I'm doing it in one day, does it?
No, and that's kind of where I was looking back and forth going, well, is it assuming that it's one day? Are you really that patient? You're going back and forth, and do you have that much money? Because again, going back, I'd love to sit down with you and go fishing with you for that long.
No, I feel like fishing doesn't mean you catch fish, by the way. I think the art of fishing is just sitting there, right, with your pole.
Taking your
It's
pole
not
for
really,
like
yeah. It's for me, fishing is equal to reading because that's actually what I do when I'm fishing. I'm just reading and my pole is in the water and maybe my pole moves once. But yeah, I'm a terrible fisher person. But yeah, Tyler. So, but how about our strategy? Do you agree that if we caught one more than the number of sick fish, we would have at least one healthy fish?
Yeah, I definitely agree that, I mean, that works out that way. I was just very hard-headed about the idea that we're catching that many fish.
Excellent. Okay. So is there anyone who's confused about that idea? You know what I liken it to? I don't know about you guys, but batteries are my nemesis. Yes. So I have batteries in a box, new batteries, or I think they're new batteries, right? But my kids somehow put old batteries in the new battery box. Why? I don't know. So then I have a box full of batteries that some work and some don't work. So maybe I even know. I'm like, how many batteries did you put in the box that don't work? And they're like, 4. So now I got a box of 48 batteries, 4 of which don't work. How many am I going to have to pull out to guarantee I get one working battery? Well, it's going to be 5, one more than the ones I know that don't work. Now, with my luck, it's true. I would pull all 4 that don't work first, right? That is my luck, right? Maybe some of you would be like, I can just pull one battery and it's going to work, right? The likelihood is it should work, but the probability, the actual probability is it could not work, and it could not work the second time and the third time and the fourth time until I've exhausted all of those. Does everybody understand that idea? Okay. So believe it or not, we covered a lot of probability ideas. It's true. So I'm going to put another doc in the chat for you. And this one is more for your reference, but if you wanted to, you could fill in the third column. And I will show you what I'm talking about in just 1 second. I just put it in the chat. Did I put it over here? Yes. Okay. So this is kind of my follow-up activity to what we just did. So I've defined a lot of vocabulary words for you over here. Okay, so here's all the vocabulary words, here's all the definitions. And then I say, does it apply to the goldfish activity? And if so, how? This is just a nice way to kind of process everything we've talked about so far, or vaguely talked about. So for example, an experiment. An experiment is an activity whose results can be observed and recorded, right? That makes sense. That's what an experiment is. Now, if you don't like the definition, you could change it to whatever you want, right? But that's just a nice way to see it. Now, if we're looking at this, did we do an experiment on our goldfish activity? Kind of, right? Like if I had all the goldfish, if we actually had goldfish, and I said, pull one out of the bag and tell me if it's sick or healthy, that would be an experiment, right? And you could record it. So you could write, yeah, yes, if I picked a fish out of the sample. Now, on this next one, an outcome. An outcome are the possible results of an experiment. So in our case, in our goldfish, what were the possible outcomes?
Sick and healthy fish.
Very nice. So we had healthy and we had sick, right? Those were our choices. And then a sample space is usually written with set notation. And so we would write all the possible outcomes. So they would be healthy or sick. Now notice I had a lot of fish in my samples, right? Some of you had 59 or 68 or 40, whatever, right? And so I didn't have to list healthy, 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 healthy 54 times. I just need to list it once, right? Once it's part of the set, it doesn't have to be repeated. So my whole sample space is just healthy or sick. Now, if I have a subset of my sample space, I could just say healthy. That's a subset, right? Or I could just say sick, right? That would be a subset of my set. Okay, experimental probability, determined by observing outcomes of experiments. This is really numbers 4 and 5 on your worksheet, right? We looked at what we had and we wrote down our probabilities, right? So that's experimental probability. For theoretical probability, we didn't really have that, right? So that's not really part of it. Now, if we knew something, like for example, theoretical probability for like tossing a coin, we know that, right? Like when we toss a coin, we have 2 possibilities, heads or tails. And so the probability of heads is 1/2. So if I flipped a coin 100 times, I would expect 50 times for it to be heads and 50 times for it to be tails, right? Might not be, but that's my theory, right? That's theoretical probability. Okay, so read through the rest of these for a minute. Equally likely, uniform sample space, Bernoulli's theorem. Read through them. You don't have to fill them all in if you don't want. Read through them. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to ask you which ones you're still a little fuzzy on, right? Which ones do you want explained? So spend about 5 minutes going over the rest of these down to, remember I said these words, mutually exclusive and complementary. Okay, so do that. And you can chat me questions while you're doing it. You guys can talk to each other. I don't care. All right. So I know you didn't have time to go through all those. Like, no worries. But is there anyone that you're reading and you're like, oh my God, I don't even understand what those symbols are or those words mean? So that's what I want to help you with. Anything there you want explained further? And don't say everything. But you don't have to say nothing either. Like, you can say something. Are you good? Do you understand them all?
Can you explain the complementary events?
Yes, for sure. That's a great one. Complementary events. So first, to understand that, you really have to know what mutually exclusive events are. So mutually exclusive events are ones that we talked about earlier. They can't happen at the same time. And so if they're mutually exclusive, if I just add them all together, then I'm going to get the probability. Now, you're probably like, wait, what is she talking about? Cards are talked about a lot in probability, right? Like decks of cards. So if you want an example of what's not mutually exclusive, that might help you understand what mutually exclusive means. So not mutually exclusive would be things like it could be a king or it could be a black card, right? Because there are cards that are black and kings. So those are not mutually exclusive. There's an overlap there. Like if I drew the Venn diagram, there would be something in that intersection, right? But if it is mutually exclusive, then there's nothing in that overlapping section of my Venn diagram. For example, with our healthy and sick fish, we had healthy fish in one circle, sick fish in the other circle, and there's nothing in the middle that's healthy, sick, sick, healthy. So first of all, to do complementary events, they have to be mutually exclusive, okay? And then it's when they're, if you take the event A, and then when they write a complement, they put, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that little line over the top? That means not that. So if you think about it in terms of our fish, we would say the probability that it's sick plus the probability that it's not sick must equal 1, right? Because that has to be all the fish, because the sick were either healthy or sick. Can I say the sick? The fish were either healthy or sick. So what's nice about knowing that, Karina, is then to solve for either the complement or the original event, I can use that subtraction to get the answer. Okay, so it's a very nice, so for example, if I wanted you to find the probability that a card is not a king, right? I could write it like this, the probability of a king with a line over the top. That would be the probability that the card is not a king. And you're like, I have no idea. But I do know that there's 4 kings in the deck, right? Like, let's say you did know that. Well, I can do 1 minus the probability of a king. Since I know a card is either a king or it's not a king, right? So then if I know that a king is, there's 4 out of 52, then I don't even have to know how many other cards there are. As long as I know there's 4 cards that are kings, then I can solve this problem. And I would do 52 out of 52 minus 4 out of 52. And that would give me that 48 out of 52. And yes, I could simplify that if I wanted to. But that whole idea of complement is I can use that to my advantage to find the missing probability if I only know one of them. Did that help? Excellent. So the other one, this we've already talked about, right? Probability has to be between 0 and 1, right? So, and this relates to the 2 right above it, an impossible event and a certain event. Can anyone think of a certain event with our fish? What's a certain event? Like if I pull out of this sample? What is something that has to happen?
The sample size gets smaller.
That's true. I agree. But what event has to happen? Like, what am I going to get?
Well, you're gonna get a healthy or a sick fish. So you're
Yeah,
gonna get
so-
a fish.
Very nice. So a certain event is going to be, I'm going to get a fish. Maybe Tyler won't, but I will, right? I'm going to get a fish. Okay. So what's an impossible event then? By the way, and a certain event would have a probability of 1. What would an impossible event be? Something that can't happen in my fish experiment.
Getting anything else except a fish.
Give me an
So,
example.
Maybe a shark. I don't know.
Is a shark a fish?
No,
I don't know. Wait, is a shark a fish?
no. Oh,
No.
well, yeah, but well, I mean,
I mean, I
like
don't
a rock
teach
or
science,
something, a
but
tiger.
I did.
I don't know.
Okay. Here, you want to know the funniest thing? You just said get a tiger. Do you want to know what my paper says on mine? Getting
What?
a tiger. I'm
That's
not
funny.
joking. I'm not joking. I could share my screen and that's what it says on my, like, key that I wrote 5 years ago. It says getting
wow.
a tiger. Yeah. A lot of kids will put like getting a tire, right? Or getting a rock, something that has happened to them when they fished where they didn't get a fish, right? So that would be an impossible event if I only have fish in my sample. Okay, this is another one people struggle with. Bernoulli's theorem. Yeah. Bernoulli's theorem is one where if I do an experiment, I might not get that theoretical probability, like tossing a coin. I could toss a coin 10 times and I could get 9 heads and 1 tail. I shouldn't get that. But I only did a very small number of experiments, right? If I do it 1,000 times, I'm going to get really close to that 1/2. And that's what Bernoulli's theorem is. It's also called the law of large numbers. Okay, so here is what I'm going to task you to today. I'm going to go back to my slides that we didn't even use today, but I'm super happy I didn't use them because this was way better. I'm going to put the exit ticket in the chat. I think you can do it. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. Move on. Not that big of a deal. You have a vocabulary assignment. You have a little Quizlet to play, right? And then you upload a little sheet that I basically just gave you all the answers to, by the way, in case you're wondering. But if we look, you can go through all of these slides. They're great slides. There's lots of info here, right? But we are skipping it because it was more fun to do other things. I still have it posted. Okay, so don't forget to finish your getting started module and your student info sheet. Introduce yourself Flipgrid, right? It's only Tuesday, but it'd be a great time to get that done before Wednesday, right? So then when other people post theirs on Wednesday, you can just get them all done. And then your fundamental counting principle, I don't know if that's actually an assignment right now. Let me look. I think it is. No, it's not. I don't even know why that's not. It maybe should be. Where is it? Interesting that it's not on here. I guess I better add that assignment. It's just a video assignment that won't be hard, but it will help you. Did anyone look? You have, you probably can't see it yet. You're going to have a team project next week. Okay. And the fundamental counting principle is going to help you. Okay. So I'll make sure I put that on there, but I won't make it due yet. Okay. Any questions for me?
So will you be publishing the notes on the fundamental counting principles?
It'll be a video assignment and I'll make sure I
Okay.
publish it right now. I don't know why it wasn't published already. It's weird. Yes, I will make sure it's published. All right, let me know if you need anything else. Good job today. Have a great night.